Grab your thinking caps, Wargamers, because today we're setting up the next battle in our Blackraven skirmish campaign, featuring Cobalt 15, the captain of the starship Blackraven. And as you know, we are using Void Pirates as our Wargaming rules of choice, but for the logistics of the campaign, we use 5 Parsecs From Home, specifically the campaign setting. Hey, before we get into that, though, let me show you what I did. I made up a Void Pirate roster sheet. Couldn't find one of these anywhere online, so I just went ahead and made up my own. If you want to get your hands on a copy of this, I'll throw a link in the description. I have a PDF, not a PDF, a PNG graphic file that you can print one of these. Go to warrenabox.blogspot.com and you can download your own. One of the other things I did, since I was transferring everything over from the record sheet that I had before, which looked a little something like this, over to something a little bit more hobby professional, I went ahead and just double-checked what I was doing with the rule book, and it turns out I was doing everything all wrong. Way too many 6 dice being thrown around. However, that was happening on both sides of the aisle, so I'm not too worried about any balance issues. But you'll notice as we go through this Cobalt 15, everything is 4s here. I actually eschew writing anything down until I absolutely have to. But because of his equipment list, he gets a lot of rerolls. Hey, he is a hero. What do you expect? Vitality, I made just a quick little shtick up here that shows that, and then I made a brief note in pencil this time, recording old Rusty's bad wound. I guess at -3 centimeters to his movement, it's a bit of a leg wound, so he's got his leg in some kind of cast for the upcoming battle. Power levels drastically scaled back, not quite so much equipment that's a little more appropriate to the character class types. But we'll get more into that later. For now, we don't even know what they're doing until we flip to section 53. Now, if you remember, Cobalt 15 is a self-aware warbot who has gone AWOL because he does not want to serve the Unity government. All of these characters are living life on the fringe, kind of in the gray area between legal and illegal. Unfortunately, a Unity agent caught up to him, and we're just going to call him Agent Spliff. So Spaceman Spliff caught up to him and said, hey, I'm going to take you in, or you can do me a favor. I need you to go find the magic space baby. Go find the magic space baby, bring him back to me, all is forgiven. We'll see to it that you have your own card of autonomy. Not happy about it, Cobalt nonetheless went out and tried to meet the only lead that the agent could give him, and along the way encountered a battle with some pelagic mercenaries, whom he and his crew thrashed, knocking them all down with only the 1 wound to Rusty. That's where things stand right now. The question is, what happens next? And we have been going through, unknowingly, we've been going through a quest. And in 5 Parsecs From Home, when you've got a quest, you undertake a number of missions. We undertook a mission, and we didn't even find out whether the lead that we found was intact. So we roll a d6 against this chart, and on a 3, for each mission, roll a d6 if the group has found any leads. We haven't found any leads yet, so we got a 3. It's a diversion. That mission was a dead end. However, after roughing up the lone survivor of the pelagic mercenaries, Cobalt was able to score himself another lead, possible lead. So, whenever a lead is found, roll a d6. On a 6, the mission will be on a new planet. Nope, we're on the same planet. On a 1, the next mission will be on a planet. Well, we didn't even find a lead, so it doesn't matter. The next thing we do is generate a quest mission, which is a simple D percentile dice. And our next mission is going to be a 42, which is convince. So, for that mission, place a random character in the center of the table. Someone must reach this character and succeed at a persuasion test to get the needed information. Well, I think we all know who that's going to be. Our tech is going to get 6 die for that. If no one's successful, the mission is a failure. So reach this character succeeded a persuasion test. What we're going to do is we're going to call that a toughness number 3. It's going to be a little bit tricky because whoever has this information about the Magic Space Baby knows that everybody wants the Magic Space Baby and doesn't want to give up the information unless he, she, it, or what have you, they, possibly, if it's a hive mind alien, doesn't want to give it up without a fight. Maybe throw a few other civilians in the area. Yeah, we'll see. We got to figure out what the actual mission is first. But in addition to the regular mission, we're going to have a rando in the center of the table that we got to talk to. So we have our wrinkle in the form of looking for a contact, but now let's find out what's in the cloth of the next mission. Very easy. First thing we got to do is figure out who our enemy is. 52. Isolationists. No special abilities. Okay. So I think it's a safe bet that our next lead involves someone who is hiding out with isolationists. And he's hiding out with the isolationists specifically because he has the information. To arm the opposition, you can use the weapons table. I'm just going to go ahead and arm them as appropriate. I'm not sure what they're isolated for, but we'll get to that in a minute. The enemy will start off with 1 figure less than the player's group. Roll a handful of d6 for every 6 an additional figure is present. So, with 4 people, we're going to roll 4 dice. So, there isn't. On a roll 1d6, on a 6, upgrade one of the figures to a leader. So, we have 3 people plus a leader. No, I'm sorry, we have 2 plus a leader. So, in the last battle, we had a couple of regular soldier types with 4 red shirts. This time, the 4 are going up against 3 characters, and that means that those characters are going to have to be a lot tougher each. Is this enemy crazy or not? Because I don't know who these isolationists are, I'm going to go ahead and turn the page to an individual workaround table. Roll a D100, and I get a 92, and that'll tell us what kind they are. Character known to the group. Ah, that's interesting, because one of our characters was from an isolationist compound. It was our warbot. He must have been a Unity agent assigned to protect an isolationist compound. There you go. There's our story. So he's going back to his home compound to talk to some, call them old friends. And the leader in particular is 58. It says here that he has a random psychic ability, which explains why he was not a big fan of Cobalt 15. A robot doesn't have psychic weaknesses to exploit. So everything is kind of coming together here. If he's got a psionic abilities, then we're going to have some fun with those. Void Pirates does make allowances for psionics. That means all 3 are going to have psionic powers in one format or another, which explains why the 3 of them would be comfortable going up against 1, 2, 3 and a half of our heroes. We're getting warmer. Mission target. The target of a mission involves an object can be determined using the table below, but it is not. All I can tell you about this mission is that the objective is simple, so let's find out what our setup is. 25. Another meeting engagement. That's very similar to what we were doing before. On neutral ground, it looks like it's time to rumble. Each side, set up the terrain. Each side takes turn placing 1 figure on their half of the table. Figures cannot step within 9 inches of the halfway point. Once all the figures are set up, determine randomly who has the first move. But before we can get to that, we have to use the second of our rosters to build an enemy set to go up against these guys. And we know they're going to be isolationists. We know that they are a bit resentful that Cobalt 15 has gone AWOL. And that's about all we know for now. Let me whip up some characters for Void Pirates, and I'll be right back to introduce you to who they are. After talking to you last time, I realized that I still didn't have a contact for whom Cobalt 15 is searching. So I rolled on the same table that told me that he was requested. He was going to need to visit his old stomping grounds in the isolationist compound. And on that chart, this time around, it said that his contact is going to be a missionary. So that means that what we have here, this sluggy little guy, the man with the cane and the big old tusks, has been trying to convince the isolationist compound to abandon their worship of Space Thor. Well, who are these isolationists? That's the fellas over here on the left. This is Thor Lightspeed Shield. He is a thug with a lightning axe. This is Bombursa Minor, who's got a big dang gun, and this is Glowin Nebulon. And Glowin Nebulon, in addition to having a rifle, has a little buddy, and that's this guy right here. This is classified as a sidekick. Couldn't tell you where this miniature comes from. I saw it sitting in a display case at a hobby shop when I was on the road in Northern California, and loved them so much I bought out the stock. There were only like 5 or 6 of them. But this cute little fella here is Iron Frodome, and Frodome has a bunch of little anti-personnel missiles that will leap out at you. Counts as a pistol, but he only appears. He also has scanners, so he can help Glowin find any hidden characters. As a sidekick, he may or may not be available. At the start of each battle, you need to make a chance roll, and you need 2 successes or more for him to appear. So he may wander along with Glowin here, beep beep, and help him stay safe from good old Cobalt 15 and his guys. Now, I think what I'm going to do is set up a little village, a little star-faring village, and Mr. Missionary here is going to be hiding in one of 3 or 4 buildings in the center of the compound. The isolationists, I should point out, they all have psychic powers, and they are dwarves. What could be more fitting than that? If you have isolationists, dwarves make a great choice. And they're not happy with Cobalt 15, who is a Unity bot who is supposed to guarantee them freedom from the proselytization of Mr. Missionary. So they're aggravated with him and not exactly cooperative. They don't care at all about Magic Space Baby. The missionary, appropriately enough, does care about the Magic Space Baby, and he's got, I don't know, some kind of sacred text or some kind of, let's call it a prophecy about who, when, where, and why the baby will be found. So when I got done building these 3.5 fellas, I realized their point total only came up to 40 points compared to 55 for Cobalt 15. I'm not worried about that for a couple of reasons. Cobalt has a much more difficult mission ahead of him because he's got to fight off the psychic angry space dwarves, and he's got to search a number of locations for Mr. Missionary, and one of his guys, in fact his thug, his close combat specialist, has a gimpy leg for this next round, this next scenario. So he's going to be hard-pressed to get into melee combat. He might be a little bit of dead weight. So 40 points versus 55 points in the Void Pirate system, I'm going to call that a wash, and we're going to run with it. And we'll see what happens next time on The Joy of Wargaming. Thanks for watching this interlude. I really wanted to show you guys how you could use just a few basic tables for inspiration for your own games and come up with something that is, I know, Archie, I'm telling them, how you could use those basic tables to build a narrative that is far more interesting and far more surprising and leaves you in the dark for part of the way. Which is nice when you're gaming in isolation, whether that isolation was necessary or not. So I'll see you in 2 days with episode 2 of The Adventures of the Blackraven. Until then, God bless you.